You could then tick off your box and say, not doing that one.
I ran away when I was 18 to Los Angeles, where I met this beautiful human.
Right. Well, welcome, Alex and Shayoon, to Significant Podcasts by the Yak.
Thank you. It's
Thank you for having us.
a pleasure to be here.
Is it your first time down in Legian?
It's been a while, for sure.
We've been shelled up, holed up in Uluwatu, so now we're venturing back up, and it's like a whole different world out here.
Right, so thank you for accepting the invitation. It must have been, it's almost like crossing the border.
Only for you will I come this far.
Thank you. Kind of a question, Manchester meets Malibu. I mean, I know you're actually born in Nairobi, but you moved to Manchester and then a few other places. But so Manchester met Malibu. How did that come about?
I'd like to say Nairobi met Malibu.
Okay. So much better, isn't it?
It's so much
Just
better.
like the M with the M, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
How did that come apart? Well, I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. My parents were like a Romeo and Juliet story. Mom's side is Pakistani, Shia, Muslim. Dad's side, Indian, Sunni. And we had this gorgeous upbringing in Kenya. And actually, my forefathers are from Africa. My dad's from Mombasa. My mom's from Zanzibar. And so one day they decided to leave. And we headed to England, where my dad has 12 brothers and sisters. So I have like 4 million first cousins. And so we went to England, and then from England we went to the States, and I was thrown into Middle America, which was delightful.
Oklahoma in the house.
Wow, that should have been interesting. What do you know about Oklahoma, and what do you understand what she might have gone through being chucked into Middle America?
Well,
He got chucked there too with me.
it's very flat. There's not a lot of cultural diversity or maybe cultural acceptance. I mean, I think she could speak more to, her issues and upbringing, being a Muslim, beautiful brown woman from Africa living in the middle of America.
It has its challenges, for
I'm sure.
Definitely.
Right? Sure. And great learning curve though, right?
Huge.
Great
Absolutely.
learning curve, and definitely a place that you could then tick off your box and say, not doing that one.
No.
Right, I mean, I
That's
think-
why I ran away when I was 18 to Los Angeles,
Oh, wow.
where I met this beautiful human running through a field in Palm Springs at a festival called Coachella.
Right.
There I was. It was a hot summer day, and I had just started my first company, Spirit Hoods, and I was wearing these faux fur, animal-inspired headwear that I was making from Burning Man. And
I was going to say, because you're quite a festival goer. I think that the whole did that whole idea come from Burning Man?
It was inspired by my first experience at Burning Man. I had never been to a music festival or anything like that. And it was definitely a first spiritual awakening, so to speak. And so it was very much inspired by the vaudevillian fashion and the kind of Mad Max vibe that was going on there. And it was just the right place, the right time. And we took this style of design and positioned it in women's contemporary fashion in around 2010, where the whole hipster movement was booming, and it took off. And I saw her dancing in the field, and I was struck, and she was very much dancing for herself, so I didn't approach. And then later that night, I saw her again in a sea of 100,000 people, and I had a little more courage in me at that point in time, you know what I mean? So we came running up, me and my friends, on her and her pack of girls, and I grabbed her hand and whisked her away to the front of the DJ booth, and then the beat dropped, and the fireworks exploded, and the lasers shot, and our hearts ignited, and our souls came back together, and I'd like to say we were inseparable ever since, but it took me a few months to get her back into my life again.
Right.
It's also called MDMA.
Right. Yes, well, I think that's. It's a great door opener.
Yeah.
I think it's a great door opener.
Heart opener,
Nice
yeah.
to share those doors too, right?
Yeah.
So that's really interesting because you went from the idea of Burning Man to Coachella. Coachella was a very feminine. Would you say it's more of a feminine music festival?
I think it was just more pop culture versus, at least then.
Dust
Dust
storms.
Bowl,
Yeah.
Dust Storm.
No showers, no
counterculture.
Have you been to Burning Man?
I have.
Did
I
you
took her-
did you enjoy it?
I took her back.
I loved it.
Oh, you
Of course,
loved it.
he was the first one I ever went with, but I couldn't stop going after that. It changed Burning Man changed my life, definitely.
Interesting.
We've stopped going now,
Right.
but it was definitely an important chapter in our lives.
Yeah, back then.
Right. And then so you at the time were making this amazing festival headgear?
Yes.
Hats and...
They were faux fur animal inspired headgear that gave back to nonprofits that helped endangered animals, and so it became quite the thing. The Kardashians ended up wearing them. Justin Bieber, Snoop Dogg, Kesha, all these.
He was on Shark Tank. It was like a phenomenon of that.
Because you at that time, I think, was who wore it better.
I was.
You were. Well, you had who wore it better.
I was.
Right, and
Dug
you were part of the E News.
Yeah,
right.
I was full in fashion, like really big time in fashion and styling, and I was on TV hosting segments and who wore it better, and yeah, we were both deep in the fashion game.
Because I was going to say, but it's coming in from totally different ends.
Yeah,
Completely.
I mean, who wore it better? So up there in the makeup and the hair and the News and all that.
I was definitely on the higher end caliber.
Here I am
and
with
then she dragged it down into the Dust Bowl of Burning Man.
Yes.
Literally, I remember him walking towards us at the festival with his hat on, naked, and I'm with my friends, and I'm like,
I wasn't fully naked.
Are they? Well, no shirt on under the hoods, just looking a little homeless. And I was like, are these guys wearing animals on their heads? We're there with our full outfits on,
right.
VIP, ready to hang out. So it was definitely a culture shock for me.
To be approached by a homeless animal wearing headdress man.
Absolutely.
Totally, topless.
No, but this is an important part, because talk about Romeo and Juliet. Here's a well-to-do Muslim girl, and I'm apparently homeless white guy.
TV. Right.
And so there was a powerful connection, but she was very much afraid of that cultural divide and the programs that came from her parents and her culture. Whoever you date, make sure they're Muslim and we'll be fine. I definitely was not that, and so it took a while.
But those rules didn't really stick, because if her parents actually moved from Nairobi to Manchester to London to they also were kind of moving within zones for them to be
absolutely
free themselves. As you said, it's a bit of a Romeo and Juliet thing.
Absolutely.
So what I found, because you at the time of you being homeless, right? Being homeless,
I was sleeping on a foam mattress on the floor. Yeah.
Right, because I think you're actually in Hollywood, right? I think you've just you're doing a lot of martial arts, and you probably landed your first. Did you land your
Martial
first?
arts, taekwondo game. I've always
It's
had
Twilight or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
it
just
was
that
Twilight.
small movie.
Yes, I was frat boy number 1 in Twilight,
You were frat
and
boy
I got
number 1.
kicked in the nuts by Kristen Stewart right before Robert Pattinson came up and saved the day, and that was it. I was going to be a star, and I went to LA with that in mind, and it didn't work out like that.
So started waiting tables.
I didn't even make it that far.
Wow. Okay.
And this is the time when I literally was feeling pretty down and out for the first time in my life, and I was big into visions and dream building and into that whole think and grow rich type of mentality, and I had no idea what entrepreneurship was, but it was that experience that I had from Burning Man and then starting the company that kind of changed the whole shift from entertainment into brand building, essentially.
So when she met you, you weren't quite homeless.
I had a home over my head.
Or poverty stricken.
I was stealing.
Because it's quite a big move.
I was
actually, to go
stealing
from E-News to there. Right?
I was stealing my roommate's food. I could have been much more
was stealing
worse off.
avocados when we met.
I was living on a foam mattress on the floor,
And I'm getting this Romeo
and
and Juliet.
and she came into my life before it had all happened, and so she was there when she saw me at my lowest, and then
love.
she was with me when we went up.
Went up. So tell us a bit about that, because I think you've got quite an interesting. I will touch upon a bit in the beginning, but you started Light Force. The Light Force Center.
Yeah.
And this was probably because I gather you had a really bad accident.
Yes.
What kind of accident?
So back in Middle America, I was leaving a party, actually just a pool barbecue, and daytime, and I pulled out, and a woman came and hit me from the front ongoing, and it was the worst day of my life, to say the least.
Were you wearing a seatbelt?
I was wearing a seatbelt. That was the problem, because if I wasn't, I would be able to get out. And so I was trapped upside down. The car was on fire, and I couldn't get my seatbelt off, and I couldn't get out. So I had 2nd and 3rd degree burns. I was told I couldn't walk again properly. I wouldn't be able to have children. That I was going to spend the rest of my life on meds.
And
so
the
I was
PTSD kept on climbing.
climbing.
My God.
I
And
mean,
anxiety and all of it.
Keep telling you that
every
stuff.
time I went to
You go,
physiotherapy, they would tell me one more thing that was just ridiculous.
Not gonna work.
Yeah, yeah. So I fell into deep depression, and
You already met him.
I hadn't met him yet.
Oh, you hadn't
no.
met him.
It was right before I decided to leave, and that's why I decided to leave, because it just kept getting more and more dark. And the medical system was really just all about making money and pharmaceuticals.
So it really was about, like something like that life was pushing you out
Yeah,
of being in that space,
totally.
like leave. I mean, you get these messages, I think they're pretty clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't listen, then they just
Gets
keep
worse.
Just gets worse.
pushing and
Yeah.
pushing.
This is
And so I said, I'm going to LA. I'm going to go to fashion school instead of stay here. And so I went to design school in LA, and then that's when I met him. And when I met him, I was in terrible pain. Like even at Coachella when I met him, I could barely walk. I had to take a lot of meds, and I was, numbing the pain with whatever I could at that time. And I was just so over it, but I was also like slowly dying inside,
Because that pain is on all levels, right? It's
All
on
levels.
the spiritual, it's on the
Continue.
emotional, definitely on the
all of it.
on the physical.
Yeah, and
right?
there's nothing that I tried everything, and there was nothing that had helped me yet.
What did you try though?
I tried all kinds of physio. I tried different types of therapy. That just wasn't.
All physical therapy.
All
So
physical.
not on the emotional and the.
I did emotional therapy.
okay.
It just was not
Didn't-
for me.
didn't, right.
Yeah, and I'd never tried anything alternative. And when I met Alexander, he had already been well rehearsed in this space because he grew up with a family that was really into healing and martial arts and all of that. And so one day we were at the Vegas trade show, about magic, the giant trade show, and he had just designed hoods for like massive celebrities, and they always had a big party at the end, and we were supposed to go. It's why we drove 4 hours from LA for. And I told him, I was like, Alexander, I can't go. I'm in so much pain. And he said, you know what, I'm done with this story. Just sit down. I'm going to try a healing on you. And I was like, I was not a part of that world at all. I mean, talk about like just asleep, just not a part of anything that spiritual before. And in 5 minutes, he had me touching my toes, which I hadn't done in 5 years, because I used something called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and I chose to forgive my body for all of the pain and suffering that I've been going through. And that emotional release literally took my pain away within those 5 minutes. And I was FaceTiming my parents, crying, saying, look, I could touch my toes again. I'm only 22 or 23 at that point. And so it changed my life because I never knew.
Flip that switch, right?
Flip that switch. That was
5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be
That was my
incredible,
awakening.
right? That is incredible.
Yeah. And so I became obsessed with wanting to show the world that you can heal from, just emotional release. And anything physical is attached to emotional. So
Indeed. And I think basically a lot of people think that people are healers, but I personally believe that the body heals itself.
Yes.
It's
You
just
are
that
the
the
healer.
just stops the
Facilitates.
leaks.
Yeah.
Stops the energy leak. So if you stop the energy leak, the body in seconds can just get back to doing what it does best, which is regenerate and heal and things
You
like that.
nailed it. Absolutely.
Right. So you two now you're feeling better.
thank God.
You've gone to Shark Tank, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She starts having a spiritual awakening from this. See, so many. This is very important. Many people come to us or are seeking healing, but really what we're trying to get to is that place of purpose. Why am I here? And we can't truly know that or embody that until we've gone through the prerequisite of healing. And it's in the healing process, the self-healing process, that we start learning about ourselves and why we've been given these certain kind of narratives and things that we have to karmically overcome. So for her, that was the big one. The energy shift was, I had to learn, I had to have this whole experience. I had to go through that system. I had to learn that I could heal myself. And then all of the gifts started coming. She started being able to see color, like energy, auras, in all living things, she started being able to have these prophetic dreams and even receiving guidance from her angels, and it was freaking her the fuck out. So here comes.
So I went back to self-medicating.
Everybody
Shut
thinks,
them up, shut them up. I don't want to hear them
I'm like,
anymore.
shit, man, I'm going crazy now. Like,
Yeah.
he's not going to want to be with me. This is so weird, you know.
So then here comes the anxiety round number 2, right? So people think, oh, you have a spiritual awakening, right? Like, oh, you must be enlightened. No. Oftentimes it just, it can get worse, right? Because
I just think probably we're so used to being in our physical body, and we personify our physical body. So, I mean, this is just our garage, right?
Yeah.
We're just not used to thinking that actually this is not me, that something else is me, and I'm just here for a time being. And I think that's kind of like what we've not been brought up to accept or understand or learn. I mean, if we learned this from day one, like from, as you know, playgroup, we did meditate, for example. I think
everybody listening? Everybody listening? Just speaking truth right now.
Meditate. You know, you should be doing it in jails, in play schools, everywhere.
Yes.
Every meditation should be the number one thing. Personally, I don't meditate. My brain is. I mean, I've tried a couple of times, but I think that's the thing about perseverance, and I've got other things to do than persevere.
Well, most people, meditation is one piece of a much greater puzzle. People put so much emphasis on meditation, and will sit down and say, okay, well, Yogi Baba this says I need to close my eyes and clear my mind, and yet we've got this whole avalanche of emotion and shit running through our heads that most people do stop because it's too great, it's too difficult. We find it's much more simpler to silence the mind if you just clear all of the negative programs that are making it run to begin with. Just like healing is the natural state of being, so is presence.
Well, it's
when
like
you clear
clearing
all
your cache.
Yes, so totally, it's like defragmenting the hard drive.
Right, give me
So-
that Norton disc doctor, right?
Absolutely.
Right, okay,
Absolutely.
well, that's super interesting.
So when we do meditations, it's actually more like activations. We're activating our mind. We're activating this inner technology we have. We're identifying where these negative emotional blockages are stored from all of the traumas in our life, to being bullied on the playground, to divorce, to abuse, to you name it, insert life, right, that we go through. Most people have it all stored within their body's memory, just like a hard drive, and the files get out of place and everything slows down. So when you learn to just systematically clear that, which anybody can do, everything comes back into alignment, including your mind. So then actually meditation is enjoyable. It's like, oh wow, presence
You
is
just
just
sit there in
here.
bliss, right?
It
Sit there in bliss,
totally,
okay.
absolutely, so much easier.
So with this light force
Center.
Center,
The
so
light
you-
force center,
but,
which is the center of your heart.
right, not the center as in a building.
It is
It is.
actually, that
Right.
too.
Okay,
That
but
as well.
okay, because I'm getting
It's a
confused.
pyramid. It's a pyramid,
It's a
actually.
pyramid, right? So with your light force center, that was created in America,
Yeah,
in
so
the States.
all of this is going on. I'm having these
You're
great
having these-
awakenings. I'm having, you know,
Great conversations
spirit.
with your angels and all
Yes.
that. Just going,
Like
oh,
full
right,
on.
right.
Freaking
Coming
out.
from a culture that just thinks this is witchcraft, you know, so I'm keeping it all in. Here I have this amazing human who's
But you do
telling
also
me,
you do have African roots and that kind of
Yeah.
connection and that kind of conversation has been had definitely through in Africa.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Connecting to
The Maasai.
ancestrals.
for sure. And so it made sense to me, but I didn't think that it was going to make sense to anybody else. So to him, for me to tell him, you know, scared the shit out of me. And then so one day I did, and he told me, don't you dare shun your gifts. This is a gift. And that was my wings. And so from that point on, I decided to fly instead of go inward and shun it away, because I knew that I was here for a greater purpose and to help other people find that purpose or to help them heal themselves. And so I completely gave up the fashion world. And for a while I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and that wasn't working, you know, because you have to be all in to be.
Who stole my look? It's really not
It's
it's
not.
not very spiritual, is
It's
it?
not
Not at
what
all.
you're wearing, you know?
Right.
Yeah, who wore it better? It's like,
Yeah.
no, nobody cares. And
Yeah, because that was such a judgmental program.
totally, and I
Oh,
was the
it was
first
just
one.
shocking.
I was the first one on that show that couldn't say anything bad about anybody.
Right.
I was just would talk straight about the outfits and not like
right.
you know. It was all a
Very
show.
competitive, right?
Yeah,
right.
it's
Ego.
a show. It's
Yeah.
an ego-driven
Ego
E-News,
program.
E-News,
Yeah,
E-News,
ego,
Ego News.
Oh,
Ego
yeah.
Not entertainment,
Significant.
darling, Ego News.
Yes,
I love that.
exactly.
Truth.
And I saw everything for what it was, and you know, Hollywood is a bubble, and we were in it. We were deep in it, and so I had to, you know, make some decisions, and I did. It was the best thing I ever did. And during that time, I started training with different teachers, from Reiki to prana to medicine women to shamans, and
all in America. I mean, all in the and
At first, yeah.
because I was going to say in LA there is also that's the both, right? There is
Yeah.
the ego, and then there's the
the
slightly
spirit
more
side.
enlightened people.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Well, the ego's
I
definitely
traveled.
in that world too, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ego is a slippery thing. It'll
Right,
attach to
right,
anything, right?
right.
Yeah, I traveled to a lot of places, mainly LA and Peru, and
Oh, you went down to Peru. Okay.
Yeah, and I quickly started to realize, you know, I would have these reoccurring dreams every day that I was going to build a center of light on an island somewhere. And so when I told him, he was like, let's just go find the island. And I was like, it's fucking amazing, right? Like, so awesome. And all of my dreams, okay, let's go do it. And so I was, you know, really blessed.
Few people can do that, but I think few people have recurring dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's dreams go a little bit all over.
And I remember all of
obviously
my
it's
dreams.
actually not a dream; it's a message.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just
Direct
coming
message.
through loud
And
and
at
clear,
that
yeah.
point, I was dropping in to be able to go back into the same place I left off in my dreams. So I was lucid dreaming. It was amazing. He would document it all. It was awesome. And everything that I dreamt came true.
Yeah,
and so,
very prophetic.
Yeah. And so we set off to Europe.
And you chose Ibiza.
Yes.
Ibiza wasn't very kind to you, I gather.
Dude, Ibiza.
It was
It was
amazing.
very kind to us.
Oh, it was very kind
It was
to you.
very
Yes.
kind to us. We
Right.
had our first child there.
Oh, right.
We tried. I did open up my Light Force Apothecary there. He had a digital agency at the time. We were loving it. Life was beautiful. Dog was there.
Yes, we had the dog.
The
She came
wolf
from
puppy.
Los
She came
Angeles.
from Los Angeles as a scam. She was a scam. We thought we were getting a husky, and we got a pomsky. Or we thought we were getting a pomsky, but we got a full-grown husky wolf.
Right.
But she's been.
Obviously, it's obviously a spiritual leader for you. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
that's got to
She
be.
was my
It's got to be one of your
spirit
spirit animals.
Exactly.
So, sorry, you're not getting the pomsky.
Nope.
You got to get the
We
right
got
one.
the wolf.
Yeah.
And so we had everything moved to Ibiza. We got our dog on a plane. She was the first plane. She was the first dog to fly from London to Spain on board. Because I had to pretend I was blind. It was wild. It was a wild story. But they told us, you're gonna have to
that's kind of interesting. So, I mean, would you just look ahead? Did you just
my
look ahead?
glasses on.
Oh, you put
And
your glasses,
luckily-
dark glasses
Yeah.
on.
The guy on the other side was kind of in play
He knew
with
it was
So
happening.
he was like,
Right.
He was, you know, he was
Oh,
helping us out.
there's a beautiful coming together of
Yeah.
this dog needs to
So
come
we
with
got
me.
there,
Okay.
and it was like epic. All of our dreams are coming true. The whole family's there. I got pregnant within the first few months there, and so we started to develop our vision for the Life Force, the actual center, not just the apothecary. And I think 6 months into it, we realized there was an illegal build on the area before we were going to sign. And the lawyer called him and said, Alexander, don't do it. Because if you do it, you're not going to be able to run it as a retreat center, which is what the main goal was, right? So we were so frustrated.
Interesting. So you
Yeah.
actually got drawn. I mean, this
We
was
got
it?
saved.
You were saved, but you also got drawn to give more physicality to the dream. So you've obviously started doing the dream. You got really worked up
we
for the
were
dream,
in
and
it.
then
Yeah.
that all collapses, and they say, "Okay, go do it
Completely.
somewhere else."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So got to go
they
and find
said-
the other somewhere, right?
Yeah.
well, we didn't know. So, I mean, the rug got pulled out from underneath us. We
Yeah.
basically diverted the moving vans into my office downtown. And there we were again on the blow-up mattress, with this
Right.
time with a baby and the
the
wolf.
dog and wow.
and we're saying, what the hell just happened? Like, we
Because we
could
were gonna
touch
move
it. We
in.
could taste it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we did what anybody would do and say, well, let's just go to Bali.
For a week
So-
or two.
That is because it's the answer for most people, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Exactly.
just go to Bali.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's also a trail. There's a lot of people coming between Ibiza
There's
and...
Ibiza,
Oh, yeah.
Tulum,
Huge,
Bali.
huge, yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody had been, and we
It
were
used to
like,
be Ibiza, Goa, Bali.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
and
know,
Tulum, right?
And we did the
and
Goa thing,
Tulum,
and that
and then
was not
Istanbul
our
as
vibe.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really that kind of more of the beach party move, full moon scene, I think, before.
And
So we came here, yeah.
and we said it was going to be Aya's second birthday. We said, let's just go on vacay for 2 weeks, see what Bali's about. Just take a break from
All
all
right, so
of this
just
building.
going to breathe deep and let's
Yeah,
just
like
let's
one suitcase
find out what we're
situation.
going to be doing.
Yeah. So we get to Bali, and
And did you love it? Was it love at first sight? I mean, was it? I mean, some people get off that plane and they feel the Schumann resonance and they just go,
we went straight to Uluwatu, so it was love.
Yeah.
right.
And
Then the lockdown happens.
Before the lockdown happened, we were celebrating Aya's birthday. Then we went to a hotel in Canggu to meet up with some friends, And unfortunately that night we got robbed and somebody broke into our hotel room and tried to take our child. This is week 1, Bali.
Welcome.
So
That's interesting.
So
That's
I don't
a
know if it
test,
was love
right?
at first sight at
Obviously
all.
not.
It
I'm gonna
actually
say
took
no.
me a good two and a half years to fall in love with Bali.
Right, and forgive Bali. I
yeah.
mean, not that the island's actually
Yeah.
at fault, but
Yeah.
wow, that's a kind of a yes. I mean, that I suppose that really makes you choose.
Yeah.
How, are you really choosing Bali, or are you gonna
Yeah, I chose.
run away from that and just
I
keep
tried
looking
to
for that
run,
island?
and Mama Bali was like, no, for
Right,
years. I was
right.
trying my hardest to get out of here, and I could not get out. Our visa was expiring to go
Right,
back to Spain because the pandemic hit the week after. We just couldn't get out because no American citizens were allowed in Europe. It was like everything
Oh, so then
was.
it's pushing it,
it was-
to stay in,
yeah.
and now live and learn, and
Yeah.
obviously get on with whatever you've got to get on with.
Yeah.
So super interesting. So when she got her gifts, I mean, you knew a little bit more due to your family about spirituality, martial arts. So a lot of the Asian or the Eastern medicine, let's say, and
Yeah.
all about chi and all that
Mind,
energy.
body, spirit,
And then suddenly
discipline.
she turns out to be the one with the gift.
Yes, it
I
was
mean, isn't that
amazing.
annoying?
It was really, it was really exciting for me because
Right.
what she was able to do was tap in at a level that I had only read about and heard about, and so to experience that was it was this rekindling of this belief and this understanding that was always running there in the background informing my life decisions, but witnessing it there, it was miraculous to see. And it was exciting that I could it gave me permission to step
Into the physicality of it, yeah.
and in my practice as well. And so we both chose and got the message that we needed to learn and go deeper. And so we both started learning from different teachers to develop what now is called light force healing, the modality that we have. So it was incredibly exciting, and you know, on the other side of the veil is magic and limitless possibilities. And so for me, going back to that dreamer, to be able to believe in that and double down and triple down on that was thrilling, and still is.
Before we moved, I actually got a download from Spirit saying you have to tell Alexander before you go to Ibiza, because we chose Ibiza and then we packed up all of our things, put it in storage, that he has to learn a modality before he leaves Los Angeles to be able to practice something in Ibiza. He can't just go. So he studied under Dolores Cannon.
Oh, love her.
And then
She's
he
amazing.
became one of the best quantum hypnosis
Right. Oh, so you do that? Do you do the hypnosis?
healings.
It
healers.
laid the
Dolores
foundation
Cannon.
for
Right.
a lot of the work. And
Right.
if you know about Dolores, so she's
I've watched a lot of her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call them podcasts, but
Yes.
in person interviews and
Yeah.
in person talks.
So
Incredible.
what she did was she developed
Amazing.
this process or downloaded this process that allows anybody to go into a deep state of hypnosis or theta brainwave, which is 1 foot in the subconscious and 1 foot awake. And everyday people were having these extraordinary experience with full-on healings of all of the things that Western medicine says is incurable. You name it, HIV, AIDS, cancers, broken bones.
Right.
And I was reading about this, her book, and it was speaking to me. I was like, I should just learn this. And I'm not the type of person that just believes anything I read. I wanted to experience it and see if this was real. And sure enough, after starting to put people through this process, I started having the same experiences. And guides and angels and ancestors and beings of other dimensions would start coming through all these ordinary people. And I would record all of these things. And so we've got thousands and thousands of hours of streaming of the consciousness of the universe, essentially, which is what she wrote about and talked about.
Right. I mean, what she read about sounds just totally like,
Star Wars.
you know, something out there. I mean, it's just everything.
No,
I mean,
totally.
Star Wars, but more than that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
totally.
it's every fairy tale or every child's book mixed in with
Exactly.
Star Wars and everything. It's just
But when
mind-blowing.
you get to witness it for yourself or see
In
it in
real
front of you
time, yeah.
time and time and time again, the fairy tale becomes factual. It becomes truth. It becomes a new reality. And so to those who haven't heard about it, they think, oh, wow, that's really out there. It's crazy. But that's the whole point, is that we've been so programmed to be going
Never
back
open
to
the
your
door.
and stay in the
It's
physical.
don't open that door. Don't
And
open
when
that
we
door.
open it and we
Yeah.
lean into it, we recognize that we're completely limitless, and that magic is real, and miracles become commonplace, and that we are extraordinary.
Most people are afraid to open Pandora's box, right? But when you do,
Well, I think because you call it Pandora. Let's call it something else.
Pandora.
Let's call it something else, because obviously Pandora's box let out a lot of kind of dark things as well.
significant box.
Well, that's it.
So just
we
the
have to
significant
let
box.
we have to let the significant box open
Yeah,
for those
yeah.
significant events, and a lot of darkness does come out, and that's exactly it. We suppress all the things that we're afraid of, but they're the lessons and the teachers. So we have to bring all of that forth in a safe process that anybody can manage. It's not a roll of a dice.
Right.
It's not, oh, maybe I can get healed or not. No, if you show up and you go through it, it's like it's an energetic, physical, and spiritual science. We didn't make it up. It's just programmed
And it
in
is
all
a
of
journey,
us.
right? It's a journey. So it's very much like that pilgrimage of Santiago de Compostela that, funny enough, a lot of people get enlightened on when they leave France and walk through Spain to Santiago. They have that enlightening process. So with your Light Force Center, and I think you since you were on lockdown, you did put all of those teachings, or would you call them messages or methods, you
Together.
put them into an online format?
Yes, because we were only able to deliver it in person, and so we were sitting here, literally on lockdown, saying, "Well, how can we be of service? How can we get this out there?" And I was always trained that it's not safe to do this online because somebody's so deep. If the line gets cut, they're off in the abyss on their own. So we developed.
We did it anyway.
We developed a process that was safe and even more effective, that allowed for us to essentially teach an individual how to do it themselves.
Right.
And when they could do it themselves, then they could do it safely, and then they could do it without us needing to be present. And so when we put that out there, it just caught on like wildfire in people. We got to witness people healing themselves of everything. Anxiety and depression is just baseline. But
With which there was a lot, I think, over the last
and
COVID.
yeah, and the prerequisite, I think, for everybody that signs up is their charts are anxiety, depression, fear.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then that manifests in the physical. It's called psychosomatic illness, right? And so.
And this is from your download, or is it from
Both of us together.
Both done. Oh, that's such an interesting combination that two people are downloading, and obviously that's greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
I mean, the sum of its parts are greater than the whole.
Yeah.
The both of you. Interesting. And now you're moving into creating your own center.
Yes. So now we've re-physicalized the vision, and Mama Bali showed us that it was meant to be here. So we're building in Uluwatu. We're building the center of light, so the Light Force Center, a place where people can come and actually experience the transformational process there with us. We're opening up our residential community as well for our global community and people who want to come, who want to live sustainably off the grid, be able to actually heal and get away, and do the whole reprogramming work, and then go back out into the world and share their light with the world. And so it's an honor to be able to steward this vision. And everybody's talking about community now and sustainability, but we think it's incredibly important that we look at what does sustainability mean within ourselves. And for us, the prerequisite to all of it is just heal yourself. To not 90%.
It's regenerative. We don't want to do
whole.
Sustainable anymore. Sustainable is not sustainable.
Absolutely.
It doesn't go deep enough. So regenerative, I think, is what everyone's using nowadays with the regenerative tourism, which focuses on education, culture, and goes a bit deeper. So definitely the regenerative word is one of my favorites for now.
And we can't leave ourselves out of it. That until we deal with our own darkness or the own shadow or the own fears and negative programs, even with the purest intentions, we're always going to be manifesting from a wounded state. And that's why you see a lot of people re-manifesting the same things with great ideas, right? And so that's why we say
Those
before
transparent beliefs that they keep operating through, right? Because you've got to get rid of that experience, whether it's yours or societal, or
Totally.
From a negative, even from a positive, but mainly from negative moments that have influenced you, and then you bring in these beliefs and you just don't understand, you operate from them.
Absolutely.
You have no clue that because it's a transparent belief. So that's really interesting to go and find those. That's quite painful sometimes, though.
Yeah, it is. But like in that pain
deep-rooted.
comes the beautiful healing. And so on the other side of that, when you begin to learn to no longer fear the pain,
Right.
it becomes exciting, and people are laughing through their traumas, you know,
easy.
Just get rid of that onion
but
layer,
it's-
get rid of
and
that
it's
next
done,
layer.
and then it's
right,
over, and you
right,
don't have to
right.
go back there again, and that's
right.
the beautiful thing. How do I know that
Discreate,
I am
yeah.
who I am if I haven't cleared all of the lenses and filters that have been
They're not
programmed
mine.
over me?
Yeah,
They're not
right,
mine,
right,
right?
right,
They're from
right.
the whole. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
luckily for each and every one of us, our default program is love, and we know this is a fact because when you clear everything that is not that, even people who have been so abused they've never felt love in their life, it always wells up from the heart. It's there. And so that's hopefully hope for anybody who's listening out there that no matter who you are or where you're from, you can fully heal yourself, and you can find love in yourself, and you can manifest whatever your purpose is meant to be. But the prerequisite is to go through that passage. You've got to go
Sign
in.
up. You've got to sign up.
You got to go in.
Absolutely.
It's
Got to sign up.
And we believe it's not a lifelong journey and it has an end date. And that's what people really hold on to, is that they think that they have to hold on to this pain for their whole life, when you can get rid of it. That's the most beautiful thing. And yeah, things come up in your life, but you'll have the tools to just get rid of it like that.
I think that's the important thing, is the tools, because then you can do it at your own pace.
exactly.
Go as deep as you want.
That's what we
and I
say.
think
You
that's
are the
important.
healer. We want to show you. We don't want you to come back to us like a therapist over and over. Otherwise, that shit's not working. We want you to do it. Please don't
Right,
come back
right,
like we're
right.
done. Our 4 weeks is over.
Right,
You know,
right,
go
right.
do it yourself. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so within some of your at home or in residence, what I'm going to call, I don't know if it's a week, is it 4 weeks in residence programs in
Yes.
residence?
We have a
what do you call
4
it?
and 7 week program. The
Right.
4-week program is the healing.
Right.
And then we always say the prerequisite to purpose is healing. So you have to clear everything in order to live your fullest purpose. Because we have people that are going around, you know, half healed and trying to, you know, be on that full
Right.
embodiment of their
Yeah,
path, and it's not.
which is hard, right?
It
They get
is.
slaps occasionally, right? They suddenly go into
Right.
different
And
darkest
you see
places.
people that are a little bit off, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't resonate right. So you clear everything first, then you can fully embody your purpose. So the purpose work is the 7-week program after the 4. So the whole thing is 7 weeks.
Right.
But
And-
we won't do the purpose before you've done the healing.
Right. So first of all, you do the healing, then you do the purpose, and you
Yeah.
can do it either here in Bali,
Yeah.
Or
at your
online.
beautiful residence that you've opened up for the community, or you could do it online as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. And,
And we travel all over the world, so it really is just depending on what people need, you know. So we've tried to make it so that no matter where you are or where you're coming from, you have the access to this and the ability to do it.
and how would anyone get in touch with you guys?
Well,
Obviously, I kind of know where you live, not
Sophie, our
really. But
management.
if
I mean, I think your Instagram's always good, and I think your website would be obviously a great place for them.
there's
So
a
your
really
Instagram
great
is
front door, which gives a
Right.
lot of free information and meditations and kind of the beginning processes. So if you are curious, I would go to thelightforcenter.com/red pill.
the lightforcecenter.com/red pill.
And maybe
Take
you
the
can
red
link
pill.
to it in
Right.
the description. But
And
that's a
we would.
front door,
Right.
and you can get a lot of value and understand deeper how the process works. And there's a lot of choose your own adventures that you can go on.
Right.
So
Oh,
it's quite
amazing.
fun.
We have
It's
a-
I think amazing,
and
right?
exciting.
And then your Instagram.
Mine is at Shayoon _
At Shayoon, yes, Shayoon. Love that name.
Thank you.
What does it mean?
It means unique in Turkish and God's blessings in Arabic.
Wow, well, that's a beautiful name, right?
Thank you. And
Living
if-
your name.
And if you want to stop by, we're opening the Light Force Center Apothecary in Uluwatu in Padang area.
And when is that?
will be in September.
So in September, you're opening an apothecary, and just give us a quick.
It's a luxury apothecary of high vibrational supplements, one-of-a-kind bespoke pieces that you need for your spiritual journey. And lots of just beautiful things from around the world that showcase other designers, but that nobody else really has. And so I really wanted to do that, especially here, because I see a lot of people doing a lot of the same things. So I really wanted to bring in a little bit of luxe,
Unique, right.
Unique.
Unique.
into
And
the
you're doing
spirit
your
world.
own line, right? I think I
I
gather
am.
you're doing your own fashion line and jewelry
I
line.
am, yes.
that will be there.
My own
That will be
spirit.
there.
That will be there.
That
Super,
would be
super
nice.
exciting. What's that going to be called?
I think we'll keep it under the Light Force Center brand for now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
It's
Beautiful.
exquisite. Her designs are out of this world. It's been brewing in there for a while.
They're pretty
She's
epic.
got this incredible Egyptian-inspired jewelry collection and unique designs that have been culminating for years now. So
For
it'll
men
be
and
like
women. For men and women.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to produce in Bali, so that's really nice.
Oh, beautiful.
Amazing.
We love that.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
Okay, both Alexander
Yes.
and Shayoon. I was going to call you Alex, but I noticed she doesn't. Alexander and Shayoon, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
I will
much.
definitely pop up and see you at the Light Force Centre in Uluwatu, Padang Padang in Bali. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
You are amazing.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing your
Thank you
stage
for
with
having
us.
us.